series of different tests on different types of shotgun mics. We're going to start with the lowest quality and work our way up to the highest quality. See what kind of sounds we get. We're standing right next to the highway, or the interstation I say on the way. I think it's the 40, the I-40 next to California here. Straight at the ground. So I guess the stationary test in general wasn't really the greatest idea, especially when you're sitting with the actual microphone facing towards the traffic. The best way to get this angled is down and straight towards the ground where there's almost complete noise reduction. As you can see, when it's pointed closer towards my face instead of towards the ground, I'm picking up my voice a lot better than when it was directed straight towards the ground, because it's actually a directional mic. So any direction that this actual mic's pointing towards, it's going to pick it up. So if we take a step and we're turning, no matter what direction we're stepping in, it's going to pick my voice up over everything else. So let's go ahead and point this towards Ben real quick. And Ben, go ahead and give me some voice.
Hey, what's going on? So Zach is doing a little test here. We're using our cheapest mic, which is the what is it? ME2?
NTG2.
NTG2
by Rode.
And we are doing a little test, recording at about 40 decibels. And it seems like you don't want to point this mic parallel to any sound. The best way is to point it directly down to get noise cancellation. But I suppose that's that's the way with all shotgun mics. But yeah, this is the best way to isolate at least sound coming from, parallel to whatever you're filming. Right? Does this sound better?
It sounds a lot better. If I point it back over towards me, you can hear again. But if I point it towards Ben and start talking again, you can hear the reduction in my voice.
Yeah.
And it's going back, but Ben sounds crystal clear. So
nice.
Whenever operating the microphone itself, when you have it towards a stand, you'd want to push it towards me, which Ben just did now, and work it towards the actual actor or whoever it is that you're trying to film and get the audio from.
We are currently losing light, so we need to
step it up towards the next microphone.
Yeah, we need to go to the next mic here.
So here we go. We're going to try the NTG3 next by Rode. All right, so I was trying to do a consistent test here and try to not change the volume too much on the actual microphone. The issue that we're having with the NTG3 right now is that it's got a considerable amount of gain compared to the NTG2. It's a lot louder and takes a lot less volume. It's kind of a good thing, but at the same time, I had to turn it down almost 10 decibels because I'm getting a threshold jump. Let's see if I can point it up towards me here. There we go. It sounds a lot better now. So here we go. This is the Rode. Actually, I don't even like that still. Here, go ahead and turn that down a hair. More. There we go. All right, here we go. This is the Rode NTG3B. Huge, massive amount of gain compared to the NTG2, which I had to kind of crank the volume up. We're at 40 decibels before. Now we're at a little under 30, almost about 27 decibels compared to the NTG2. But so far, it sounds pretty good. It seems like we got a lot less noise around us. I don't know if it's starting to die down car-wise. We can point it back parallel with the road here and see if we can pick up anything else. So it does seem extremely directional. As soon as I pulled it away from the road, it took out a lot. The wind is starting to pick up here, so the Rode blimp is actually doing its job pretty well. I'm not getting any strenuous wind noises or any popping from the wind itself. A little bit more popping from my voice depending on where I'm holding this microphone. But if it's placed up directly above me and straight towards my voice, it seems like it's doing actually really well compared to the NTG2. Really great considering that I would rather have low gain and not have to crank the volume up, especially when you start getting line noise. The more you start cranking the volume up on these multi-track field recorders, you start getting this real bad inline gain noise through the cable and everything. So right now there's no really gain noise. I can't really tell though because of the wind, so we'll have to find out when we isolate this and hear it at home and play it back. Okay, here we go. We've got the Rode NTG4 Plus. This has got the built-in phantom power, so it's got the little rechargeable battery pack on it. Unlike the NTG3B, which we just tried out, we had to raise the gain right back up. We're at the 50 mark, just like the NTG2. So far, I'm hearing a lot more clear and crisp sound compared to the NTG3. The NTG3 had a lot more low end, and it brought a little bit more poppiness, especially with the blimp on the device itself. I've got it pointed straight overhead. So far it sounds really, really crisp compared to the last two microphones that we tried by Rode. If I walk around, let's go ahead and face a little bit more towards the traffic with the traffic behind me. Even with the traffic behind me, it still kind of isolates whatever's behind me and still captures just what's directly in front of the microphone. So as long as the microphone's directly in front of whatever you're trying to capture, you should be fine with it overall. I'm gonna go ahead and do a parallel test real quick just to hear what it sounds like when we're standing next to the traffic here, and I'm standing right next to the side of it. Here it is straight at me, and even with it straight at me, it's almost a little bit better than what we were working with the actual NTG2 and the NTG3B. But overall, I would still keep it overhead, not keep it parallel, not straight. I'd do it straight towards the ground like usual, and that'd be about it for that one. All right, now we have the Sennheiser ME66. Incredible amount of clearness. This is supposed to be industry standard, the cheaper end of industry standard at least for Sennheiser. So far, everything, I would say the surrounding noise in general sounds a little bit better. This has got the built-in phantom power with a AA battery that powers the on and off switch. It's the K6 adapter for it. So far, no low end. A little bit more bass than the actual NTG4 Plus, which we tried by Rode. Super similar microphones, super similar sounds, but I think that we're gonna have to really listen closely to the two comparisons and do a side-by-side when we actually get in and listen to it to give a definite answer and let you know how that is working out. Overall, though, the sound of the microphone being held overhead with, let's see if I can get this noise behind me. A little bit of noise behind me. It does kind of pick up a little bit extra behind me, but that might be because the actual gain overall, I had to keep it at a 40 decibel gain rather than the 50 decibel gain that we had kept it at for the NTG2 and the NTG4 Plus. We're stuck at the same gain ratio that we were for the NTG3B, which is kind of nice because you do want that high amount of input so you don't have to worry about inline noise. So overall, the microphone's a great microphone, and we're just going to have to test the side-by-side with the NTG4 Plus to see how it works out. All right, here we go. Right now we're working with the MKH416 by Sennheiser. It's a little bit loud right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down a hair. We're at the 50 decibel mark. I'm going to turn it down to about, let's bring it to the little hair over the 40 decibel mark. It's kind of got an in-between the NTG3B for decibel-wise and the NTG4 Plus. This one doesn't have the onboard phantom power, so unfortunately it's powered by the actual F4 multi-track recorder itself. But the overall clarity of it, it kind of reminds me of the ME66. I kind of am liking the ME66 a little bit better for crispness, but this does bring out the low end of it really, really well, and I think it would actually bring out the voice of whoever's working with it really well, especially when you're working with the lower tones. You'll get the lower range a little bit better. When I'm stepped away from the traffic here, it's picking up great. The overall quality of it's pretty nice, but when I start getting over towards the traffic, it sounds like we're getting a little large amount of strenuous bleed, but it keeps it in the low end of the spectrum rather than the high end of the spectrum itself, so it kind of eliminates that high end spectrum, and you don't hear it as much as you do the low end noises. The overall blimp for the wind is doing pretty well, and it's holding up its job pretty nicely. But comparison to the ME66, if you did a side-by-side for it, the only thing that you'd hear the difference for would be the frequency range. You'd get a lower frequency range from the MKH416 than you would the actual ME66 microphone. But this test would be definitely, compared to the Rode mics, I would definitely go with the Sennheiser mic over the Rode mics. As you can see, when it's pointed closer towards my face instead of towards the ground, I'm picking up my voice a lot better than when it was directed straight towards the ground, because it's actually a directional mic. So the Rode blimp is actually doing its job pretty well. I'm not getting any strenuous wind noises or any popping from the wind itself. If I walk around, let's go ahead and face a little bit more towards the traffic with the traffic behind me. Even with the traffic behind me, it still kind of isolates whatever's behind me. A little bit of noise behind me. It does kind of pick up a little bit extra behind me, but that might be because the actual gain overall, I had to keep it at a 40 decibel gain rather than the 50 decibel gain that we had kept it at. But the overall clarity of it, it kind of reminds me of the ME66. I kind of am liking the ME66 a little bit better for crispness. So the Rode blimp is actually doing its job pretty well. I'm not getting any strenuous wind noises or any popping from the wind itself. But the overall clarity of it, it kind of reminds me of the ME66. I kind of am liking the ME66 a little bit better for crispness. As you can see, when it's pointed closer towards my face instead of towards the ground, I'm picking up my voice a lot better than when it was directed straight towards the ground, because it's actually a directional mic. But the overall clarity of it, it kind of reminds me of the ME66. I kind of am liking the ME66 a little bit better for crispness. As you can see, when it's pointed closer towards my face instead of towards the ground, I'm picking up my voice a lot better than when it was directed straight towards the ground, because it's actually a directional mic. If I walk around, let's go ahead and face a little bit more towards the traffic with the traffic behind me. Even with the traffic behind me, it still kind of isolates whatever's behind me. But the overall clarity of it, it kind of reminds me of the ME66. I kind of am liking the ME66 a little bit better for crispness. A little bit of noise behind me. It does kind of pick up a little bit extra behind me, but that might be because the actual gain overall, I had to keep it at a 40 decibel gain rather than the 50 decibel gain that we had kept it at.